Okay, call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's February 12th, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the town, by the Berkshire Edge, Berkshire Eagle, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Start with the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion? Let's do these one at a time.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 30th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, and I have corrections.
Yes.
This is the one Lee was asking to change last time to make it sound like I was trying to hide something, and I just want to clarify what was actually said and give it.
We don't know what her intent was, Ed. Let's just.
Okay, let's try. The way it's written sounds right currently makes it sound like I was trying to hide something. So I would like to, on Select Board announcement statements, C, part C, which is where I'm speaking, the second sentence, after it says, Abram stated he received an email from Allison the day before the meeting, I would like to add a direct quote. Abram said, quote, if I knew if I forwarded it to everybody, it would be public. So I suggested she forward it to everybody. If that's okay, I'll go with the other changes too.
Okay, is everyone okay with that?
What are the other changes, Ed?
Then E, under E, in response to discussion, let me just, for clarity, read what we're talking about. E is where, as Spannon stated, there would be no discussion on the short-term rental bylaw at tonight's meeting, including citizen speak, but it would be added to Monday's agenda. In that section, I would like to add, and again, this will be a quote, in response to the discussion about last minute receipt of the email, E. Abrams said, quote, I apologize. I thought it had been forwarded yesterday because there was discussion about the frustration of just finding out. And then a final one at the end, at 36 minutes and 31 seconds. Part of this is already there. L. Davis asked for clarification on the timing of the email about abutter conflicts and who sent it. These are my words. And then quote, Ed Abrams said, would you like that now, Steve? As Bannon said, no, not now, absolutely not, but we will get clarification. So if those are all okay, I can send them for the exact wording, or I can read them again more slowly.
No, I think that was clear. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? So with those changes, it's a roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Thank you. Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. The next one.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 4th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Select Board's announcements and statements. Eric?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Ed?
Nothing.
Lee?
One small thing, I had an issue last week that I'd like to send my gratitude to the Great Barrington Fire Department. I had a failure in my oil tank, and at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I had several responders appear at my house and save me out of a very difficult position. So I wanted to really send my gratitude to them and just, remind people that we're so lucky to have a wonderful fire department in our midst. And also kudos to John B. Hall, who saved the day in terms of offering help with an oil tanker. But I just do want to use my privilege as a select board member just to call out the responders that came at 1 o'clock in the morning and stayed till 4 to help me out of this difficult position. We have Chief Charlie Berger, we have Justin Bona, Yvonne DeReese, George Hofflin, Joe Kiefner, Brian Mead, Elizabeth Feisner, and Matt Peisner. And again, thank you so much. And just, I feel really grateful, and you never know how much you need the fire department and our responders until you actually need them. So thanks again. And thanks again to John B. Hull for their help.
Thanks, Lee. Town managers report.
Thanks, Steve. I just have one very brief update. And I also just wanted to mention that I believe Garfield is calling in.
Okay, if you,
Going to go ahead and promote a phone number that I believe is him.
okay, let's see here. Garfield, if you unmute yourself, just tell us that's you, please.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great. So just one quick update for the board tonight. And that's that I just wanted to, or sorry, for the public, not for the board. This board will be meeting in executive session this coming Wednesday night, April 27th, with our attorney to continue our strategy session for Housatonic Waterworks. So that's the extent of what I can share for this evening. I just wanted to spread that word. So thank you. That's all I have.
Hey,
Now
Stephen. Steven.
Yes, Garfield.
May I do a selectman thing since I wasn't in a moment ago?
Yeah, first.
Yeah,
Go
well,
right
thank you. I just wanted to thank the citizens of Great Barrington and Housatonic for getting out there and taking care of our towns. And I know one particular person, a friend of mine, Vicky Karpinski, was there well after we had closed at 12. She was still picking up at 2, and I'm sure there are others. So I'd like to thank them as well. Thanks for the good job, folks.
Thank you, Garfield. Before we move ahead, I had it put on the agenda and I still missed it. We need to do a roll call vote at these virtual meetings, even though people can see us. It is a requirement. So Eric,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Ed,
I'm here.
thank you. Lee
Aye.
and I. So we're fulfilling the requirements. Someone pointed that out to me and I always try to do the right thing. Licenses and permits. We have quite a few tonight. Michael Murphy, the Adams Buds VFW Post 8183, Housatonic, Mass, for permission to use town roads for the 2022 Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 30th, 2022, beginning in the village of Housatonic at 9 a.m., then Great Barrington at 11 a.m. Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve permit to Michael Murphy of the Adams VFW Post 8183 Housatonic for permission to use town roads for the 2022 Memorial Day Parade on May 30th, 2022, beginning in Housatonic at 9 a.m. and then in Great Barrington at 11 a.m.
Second. And
Any
I've
discussion?
missed the parade.
What's that?
I've missed the parade. Happy to have it back.
I was just going to say the same thing. So glad they're back. Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Ed, Eric, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Lee, do you want to make a motion on the next one? That way we won't read it twice. It makes more sense.
Sure. I make a motion to grant 4 one-day entertainment licenses for the summer stage event at Butternut ski area to Joshua Keller of JJK Productions for June 4th, July 16th, August 27th, and September 17th from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Second.
Is anyone here that they could raise their hand if they would like to just give us some information? There we go. Just unmute yourself, Joshua. Great. If you want to just give us a brief, yes, if you just want to give us a brief overview of the event, give you some free publicity, and I'll give information to the select board.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm looking to bring 4 concerts to Ski Butternut this summer on those dates that you've already mentioned. All 4 of them are classic rock tributes. Probably looking to have local musicians open the show, maybe a few hours before the headliner, and all ages, family friendly. You know, bring your lawn chairs and blankets type of event. I did leave a message for your chief of police this morning to discuss hiring details to help out with the traffic in and out and parking, and also general security, and also your building inspector for building permits for the stage that I'll be putting up.
Terrific. Does the board have any questions? I see no questions, so we will have, I see 2 Garfields. We'll have a roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. We have another one for Joshua. Go ahead, Lee.
I make a motion to approve 4 one-day liquor licenses for the summer stage event at Butternut ski area to Joshua Keller of JJK Productions for June 4th, July 16th, August 27th, September 17th, from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Second.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Thank you, Joshua. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next one is Anthony Pepe of Food Truck Festivals. Is there anyone here to raise your hand? If there is, and we'll recognize you. Michelle, yep, you're unmuted. If you just want to tell us what your event is.
Sure. So my name is Michelle Buckley, and I work for Food Truck Festivals of America. This will be our 3rd year coming back to Ski Butternut. It's a family-friendly event. We go from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the general public. We do have a VIP hour, which is 11 to 12. The last time we did this, we had about 900 people. It was in the fall time, so we're coming back in the summer, so we may have upwards to 1,500. We've already been in touch with the health department, and I've been talking to Chris about what we need for police and fire. We'll follow all the rules and guidelines as far as anything that's needed.
Thank you, Michelle. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a one-day entertainment license for a food truck festival event at Butternut ski area on July 23rd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. to Anthony Pepe of Food Truck Festivals of America, LLC.
Second.
Any questions for Michelle? Seeing none, roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Yes.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. We have another one. Go ahead, Lee. Make the motion, please.
I make a motion to approve a one-day beer and wine license for the Food Truck Festival event at Butternut ski area on July 23rd, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. to Anthony Pepe of Food Truck Festivals of America, LLC.
Second.
Any discussion among the board? Seeing none. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Michelle, good luck.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Next is Janice Martinson of the Mahay Performing Arts Center. Someone here? Yeah. We have someone here. We'll recognize. Perfect.
This is Janice, Executive Director at the Mahay.
Hi, Janice. Do you want to just give a brief overview?
Sure. This is a well-honed annual event, our gala, a big part of how we fundraise to operate our nonprofit theater. We expect to have about 300 people under a tent down at Memorial Field for cocktails and dinner, and then we'll go up to the theater for the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a one-day all alcoholic license for the Mahay Annual Gala, July 30th, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Memorial Park on Bridge Street to Janice Martinson of the Mahay Performing Arts Center.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
Steve, this is with the tents on Memorial Field, are we putting in a requirement that has to be down by a certain amount of time like we did with the other requests down there?
The Parks Department already took care of that.
Took care of that, okay,
Yeah, they'll be down by Monday.
sounds good.
Seeing nothing else, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye,
Ed,
Yes.
Lee,
Aye.
and yes, it's unanimous. And one more for Mahay.
I make a motion to approve a one-day entertainment license for the Mahay Annual Gala on July 30th, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Memorial Park on Bridge Street to Janice Martinson of the Mahay Performing Arts Center.
Second.
Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
aye,
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous. Janice, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next is an old friend who's been here as long as I've been on the board, George Lay of the Guthrie Center. Is George here? I think I saw. Yeah, there. Okay.
Okay,
Hey,
can you hear
George.
me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you. You want to give us just a little overview?
Pardon? Yes? Just
Yes, we can
a
hear you.
little overview? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Well, since the COVID, we've cut our Troubadour series back. We had 4 shows last year and we're having 10 this year. We've cut our seating back to 70 seats. We've just been careful and using common sense and trying to take care of folks like we do. We just started our community lunch back in church 2 weeks ago. And folks are happy about that because it's not only the food, but it's the social aspects of the free lunches that are so important to the community.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant 12 one-day beer and wine licenses for the 2022 concert series on May 26th, May 28th, June 25th, July 8th, July 9th, July 16th, July 30th, August 6th, August 13th, August 27th, September 3rd, October 8th, from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. to George Lay of the Guthrie Center.
Second.
Any questions of George or comments?
I'd like to say one thing. I'd like to introduce you guys, if I could, to Moe Guthrie, who's sitting right here next to me. Moe, can they-
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody. I'm Moe Guthrie. Pleasure to meet all of you.
Moe has been working as my assistant for the last year now, and he's going to be taking over a whole lot of stuff because I'm getting mature. And I'm just, we just kind of moved everybody up a little bit, and it's been so wonderful working with Moe, and Annie Guthrie is down there now as an executive director. So we're moving forward, having a good time, and we're still taking care of folks.
Great news. I'm glad to hear you're staying with it though, George.
And thank you.
Roll call vote, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
aye,
Ed,
Yes.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous. George and Mo, good luck to you. I'm sure it'll be a success as always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, the driveway permit, we're going to continue to our next meeting on May 2nd at the request of the applicant who's out of town on a emergency. Previous business, continued discussion of Squaw Peak Road resident request to change the name. Mark, do you want to lead us off on this?
Sure. So this is just a continued conversation on this topic. I don't expect the board to vote on anything this evening, but I did just want to mention that we did send letters out to all 18 households on that street again this time, inviting them in to participate tonight. We also heard back from the Cultural Affairs Department with the Stockbridge Muncie community. We wanted to get their input and their feedback, and they support this decision and encourage us to move in this direction. So I'm guessing there are probably a number of people on the line that would like to speak at this time.
So if you just raise your hand and then I'll recognize you, just give us your name and address. Jeff Rothenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mark and members of the Select Board for recognizing me tonight. I've been authorized by the neighbors of Squaw Peak Road to share the following statement at tonight's meeting. Most of the homeowners on Squaw Peak Road held an in-person neighborhood meeting last night. We shared and discussed various points of view, and everyone had a chance to express their opinions on the topic of a potential road name change. Our interest is to work collaboratively with the town on this matter, but to respect the time of the Select Board and to avoid the recitation of points previously made in January. So I've been authorized to represent this summary on behalf of those who attended last night's meeting. Number one, though the neighbors did take an informal vote indicating that a majority on the street would support changing the name in concept, we agreed that at this stage we would prefer to answer pending questions before moving forward. Number two, at the Select Board meeting in January, the town said that the process and practical considerations for this proposal needed further research. The most pressing concern expressed by many homeowners and neighbors remains the logistical and financial considerations of changing a road name and the implications on personal particulars. Specifically, we need to understand what this process would look like and what incurred expenses, responsibilities, etc., would be borne by the town versus the homeowners. At this point, I will note with thanks that the packet for tonight does include answers to a number of those questions. And I noted that there was a very helpful page that did delineate the responsibilities of the town and the responsibilities of the homeowners. So thank you for including that. And finally, point three, if this effort progresses, we would appreciate knowing who in town government would be our primary contact person. And we, again, on behalf of the street, want to thank all those in town government, both elected and members of our staff, for their kind attention to this matter.
Thank you, Jeff. So in the packet, as Jeff said, is a summary of the steps and responsibilities that town staff has put together. And I encourage the neighbors to go online and look at that and digest this if you haven't. Do I have questions from the board, or if any neighbors want to briefly speak? I'm more than glad to listen to. We're not voting tonight, but we need to move this process along a little bit. So are there any questions from the board, or?
Just the process for coming up with a new name, and should that begin sooner rather than later?
I think my own opinion, and that's one of five, is it should begin as soon as we decide we want to change the name. I do agree, and I would ask the neighbors. I think they've given us some input, but I'd hope we could do that in conjunction with the neighbors.
Yeah, why? I understand it didn't say tonight we were going to vote, so I'm not suggesting we do, but what are we waiting for?
I think we all want to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
I think that's it. There were some neighbors who expressed concern, and so we haven't moved this along quickly. But I do encourage them to look at this one-page summary. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. So just to clarify, when you say majority, could you just specify what a majority is and let us know how many neighbors are in favor of this? And I apologize if you've already said this before.
Yeah, well, I don't want to speak out of turn. I can tell you that we didn't take an exact count last night, but I believe about 3/4 of the street were represented at this meeting, either in person or via proxy. There were a couple houses who gave their proxy to other people. What we agreed on as a neighborhood is that we we took an informal vote. So I can say to the board that there was a majority who voted informally to proceed with the name change, but we also, although there's some initial discussion, and I think some of us do have opinions for what an appropriate name would be, we also discussed that we weren't ready to make our recommendation as a neighborhood to the select board for what that would be. So again, I'm not trying to be difficult or not answer your question, Ms. Davis. I'm just trying to honor the wishes of the neighborhood, which is that we move at an appropriate speed as well. And I do think that our next neighborhood meeting, given that it seems that the town is also interested in moving in this direction, could help to answer some of those specifics. And I do think that you'll ultimately find that when we take our formal vote, that it will be a definitive decision. And we all very much appreciate this wonderful neighborhood that we live in. And it is a very collaborative, respectful, and productive ongoing discussion. And I think all of us are going to support each other in the decision that the street ultimately makes.
Thank you. Ruth Friedman.
Yeah, my husband, very well.
I'm sorry, you're muted. Just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Ruth Friedman, speaking for me and my husband, Barry Wasserman, 3 Squaw Peak Road. I do think that Jeff's report was accurate, and he should be commended for sharing it. It really was democracy in action on a very small thing. There were preliminary votes, but there was a lot of discussion about what the real issues were. We did not take a vote at the end, because the questions that you've now provided answers to in the packet actually were very important to people. So I think that's why clearly it's a majority, and I think it's more of a majority by the end of the meeting, but we thought it was important to know what the issues were and how they were going to be addressed before rendering a final decision.
Thank you very much. Seeing no one else's hand up, we will put this on a future agenda in concert with discussion with Jeff. So we're sure that the neighbors are ready for this. Is that okay with you, Jeff?
Yes, please, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the continued special permit application for Mead Cannabis LLC for marijuana cultivation and transportation establishment in an industrial zone at 964 Main Street, Parcel B. The application is filed in accordance with sections 3.1.4 C13, 7.18, and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw. Chris, do you want to guide us through this? The first part would be the review and vote on the findings.
You're muted, Chris.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I'm on video by computer and on audio by phone. So my apologies, the connection is a little bit unstable, but we'll see how this goes. In your packet tonight is a draft set of findings. You'll recall that at the last session on this topic, the board heard a presentation from the applicant, and at the end of that session, voted to close the public hearing, seeing no need for additional information at that time. So I prepared for you a draft set of findings that I suggest you review and amend as you see necessary, and then vote on the findings or amended findings, and then proceed to vote on the permit itself.
So Chris, if you want to take us through each one, A, B, you don't need, obviously you've done this before, so.
Sure. So the draft findings begin on page 29 of your packet. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Section A is essentially the introduction. What sections of the bylaw that this proposal is being filed under and seeking permission from. And it summarizes the materials that were included with the application and therefore making it part of the record. Any questions there? All right. General findings, this is just where the property is and what is proposed very briefly, as well as the comments made by recommending boards and commissions who reviewed this. Notably, the Board of Health and Planning Board made positive recommendations, and the Conservation Commission noted that the proposal as it stands doesn't require permitting at this time.
Anyone have any questions on D? Comments?
Section C just summarizes briefly the requirements of section 7.18 of the bylaw. Noting that the requirements here are met, except for the details of the security plan, which we discussed at the last session, where the applicant seeks a waiver of providing that detailed information in a public forum.
Anyone on C?
And a waiver of the requirement to provide the license from the CCC, which of course is not possible to do yet. And section D digs into the required findings. These 6 criteria in section 10.4.2 govern the board's discussion and deliberation for a special permit. So we can take each one of these in turn. Item 1 is social, economic, and community needs served by the proposal.
If any board member has any comments on this?
Are you all in agreement with item 1? Let's get that affirmative.
Read it again, please. I just don't have my copy in front of me at the moment. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Item 1, social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal. The Select Board finds that the proposal is in keeping with the community's approval of the November 2016 ballot question 4, legalizing adult use marijuana, and the use is proposed pursuant to the zoning regulations for adult use marijuana, first passed in May 2018. The Select Board finds that the project will revitalize a vacant industrial property and employ approximately 10 full-time employees. The company will sign a host community agreement with the town, pursuant to which it will make regular community impact fee payments to the town and will contribute to community organizations and nonprofits, period.
Sounds good.
Do we have at least 3 yeses there?
I think 4. Do we have 4?
Yes.
Have a no from me, if that matters.
I think we have 4 and 1. No.
Chris, there was some talk about recommending that they hire locally, and I don't know if this is the place to ask them to endeavor to hire locally without making a requirement, or would that just complicate everything if we put that in this late stage?
For what it's worth, it's in the host agreement.
Okay.
That same thing.
It's in the host. Okay, so we don't need it here to repeat it. Is that true, Chris? If it's in the host agreement, do we need it
the
in here?
host agreement would be, yeah, the host agreement would be binding. If it's critical here for your finding, you could list it here. As I understand it, host community agreements are term limited. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
They're 5 years.
with this decision and vote would be, would run with the land. So, maybe perceived as a little bit more of a ongoing requirement if you want to list it here. But Ed is probably correct.
Did we put that in any of the other special permits in any of the other ones that have come before the board, that requirement?
No,
Or is this the
no.
first
I think there was only one other cannabis marijuana related special permit issued by this board, and that was the waiver of the distance requirement for the retail facility at the corner of of Maple and Main
Mhm.
in the old jewelry store building. I remember there was a distance provision waiver that was sought because it was close to the John Dewey Academy at the time. So none of the other establishments have received special permits or needed special permits. And certainly this is the only cultivation special permit that you've come to a decision point on.
I don't have the language in front of me for the host agreement, but I would like to propose that we add this in the findings if possible.
Do you want me to read it? I have it right in front of me. It's just
Yeah.
a paragraph.
Yeah.
Steve? Okay. To local vendors and employment, it's item number 3. To the extent such practice and its implementation are consistent with federal, state, and municipal laws and regulations, the company shall make every effort in a legal and non-discriminatory manner to give priority to local businesses, suppliers, contractors, builders, and vendors in the provision of goods and services called for in the construction, maintenance, and continued operation of the facility when such contractors and suppliers are properly qualified and price competitive, and shall use good faith efforts to hire town residents.
Seems
We could just drop the
appropriate.
whole- Yeah, we drop the whole thing into this.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if we could do that, please.
And do you want to make that part of your finding, that because they're doing that in line with the host community agreement that may be executed, that the select board finds that this is overall a benefit to the community? And or do you want to make it a condition? I guess I'm asking for you to maybe distinguish between finding and condition. So a condition would be if you see an issue and you want to require it to happen. The finding is sort of a positive or negative statement that stands on its own.
Condition seems like it have more teeth, right?
So would they have to prove that they endeavored to try to locate local and employment or?
They
employees?
could be asked to prove that, yes.
Okay.
I think
If you want to make it a condition.
if we're serious about it, I think a condition. Also, those of us who've been around too long probably realize that the enforceability of this is difficult, but I
Yeah.
think it's important to have it in there.
Okay.
Does that answer?
Select board will make this, I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
You want to make a finding that to ensure that the employment benefits do accrue to the town of Great Barrington, you will impose a condition regarding local employment?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll add that statement that I just voiced as a to finding number 1, and we'll come back to that as a condition when we talk about conditions.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 2 is traffic flow safety, including parking and loading. It reads as follows: the select board finds that the proposal will have no negative impact on traffic flow or safety. Sufficient parking is provided on site and is confirmed by applicant's engineer and Mass DOT. The amount of traffic to be generated by the use will be low. Period.
Does anyone have any comments on that or disagree with that?
Are you all in agreement?
I agree with that statement.
Yeah, me too. That's it.
I'll agree with it.
I think you got that one, Chris.
Stephen Lee, I didn't hear.
Yes,
you there.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure if it's my connection or not, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. Let's get it right.
Item 3, adequacy of utilities and other public services. The select board finds the proposed use will have no detrimental impact on the water and sewer public systems. Let's rearrange that. Say public water and public sewer systems. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
The security plans have been reviewed by the police and will be approved by the state. No impacts on public safety services are expected. Everybody okay with that, with my amendment?
Yes.
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 Ed, Eric.
Yes.
Yes, I'm mute.
Okay.
Right. Item 4, neighborhood character and social structures. The select board finds that the proposal is in an industrial zone with compatible surrounding land uses. The proposed cultivation is within the fully enclosed building, and the odor control measures will have little to no impact on surrounding properties. The facility will be fully secured and surveilled and will not be a security or public safety risk, period.
Agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Eric.
Yes.
5, impacts on the natural environment. Select board finds the proposed water and energy conservation measures and secure waste disposal measures will generate little negative impacts on the environment. Select board will require that the applicant meet the Route 7 tree planting requirement, but that the trees can be planted somewhere else within either the Route 7 right-of-way or on private property along Route 7. Period.
Yes.
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 Okay.
I'll give a reluctant yes because you hadn't heard from me. So.
Okay. Without seeing you, Garfield, you just need to speak up.
Okay. 6, potential fiscal impacts, including impacts on town services, tax base, and employment. And I guess we've already covered part of the employment, but it reads here as follows. The select board finds the project will increase employment, and by reusing a vacant building will increase the tax base and will not negatively affect that impact town services.
Yes.
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 I saw Lee said yes. Garfield.
Oh, yes.
Thank
I
you.
didn't hear Lee.
No, she gave her thumbs up, but I couldn't see your thumbs up.
Doing hand signals.
Yes.
Okay, so the finding then would read, in consideration of the above findings, select board finds that the benefits of the proposal outweigh any possible detrimental impacts, comma, and I'm adding here, but will impose several conditions to ensure the benefits accrue to the town as presented.
Maybe back up for a second to number 6. Should we mention the community impact fee there? That does bring, partly because we say that we find the benefits of the proposal outweigh the possible detriments. Part of what does that is the community impact fee to cover, to fix some of the detriments.
It's up to you all. I'd leave you to discuss it.
So I would add it somewhere in number 6.
Sorry, Ed, I didn't quite hear you. What
assuming we approve the host agreement as written, there's a 3% community impact fee, which would be a fiscal impact on the town, a positive one. Also, it makes our statement at the final statement of finding that the benefits outweigh the detriments. There are detriments, and this is one of the things that helps tip that balance in favor of the benefits.
I have no problem with adding that to 6.
What if later on we renegotiate the host agreement and we don't have that? So how would that be affected? Or maybe we should.
Yeah, if we put, it's a good question. If we put that in here, does that, it's not a condition, it's a current finding. Is that a problem, Chris?
I don't think so. I mean, you could always say that the select board and applicant will sign at least an initial 5-year HCA, which will provide an impact fee. And
Okay,
you can write it maybe that way to give yourself some guardrails, I guess.
Okay, so
I
we'll
like
add
that addition.
6 if no one objects. And I'm hearing no objections. So
Okay.
Chris, next would be a vote on the findings of fact.
Let's look at those conditions, if you don't mind. Each
Okay,
proposed
sure.
condition. So there's 2 proposed. Number 1, because they cannot provide the state license yet, will be a condition. So item 1 is the applicant shall provide copies of any required state licenses to the select board prior to the commencement of marijuana cultivation operations. And number 2 is regarding the trees, also mentioned earlier. The applicant shall plant 2 trees, which is what would be required based on the amount of frontage they have. Shall plant 2 trees to be selected from the town's street tree list within the Route 7 right-of-way for approval of the appropriate authority, whether that's DOT or the town, for example, or on private property along the Route 7 corridor of Great Barrington with the permission of the property owner. The applicant shall provide the select board with the location of the trees and a plan to regularly maintain the trees. And finally, condition number 3 would be along the lines that Ed read earlier from the HCA, that the applicant shall follow proactive employment outreach. Is that the way to say it, as mentioned, as is a stipulation of the HCA? Does that seem to capture it?
Anybody have any comments on the conditions?
thank you, Chris.
Okay, it sounds like you're all ready to vote then on the findings. There's
So do I have a
motions
motion?
in your-
Do I have a motion on the findings?
I move to approve the findings of fact for special permit 927-22 as amended and referenced as Exhibit A.
Second,
Discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. And now a vote on the special permit, please. A motion.
I move in view of the approved findings of fact to approve special permit 927-22 for Mead Cannabis LLC for marijuana cultivation and transportation establishment in an industrial zone at 964 Main Street, Parcel B, with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant shall provide copies of any required state licenses to the select board prior to the commencement of marijuana cultivation operations. Number 2, the applicant shall plant 2 trees to be selected from the town's street tree list within the Route 7 right-of-way in Great Barrington per approval of the appropriate authority or on private property along Route 7 corridor of Great Barrington with the permission of the property owner. The applicant shall provide the select board with the location of the trees and a plan to regularly maintain the trees. Number 3.
And 3, you remember 3?
The applicant shall follow the employment outreach as stipulated in the HCA. Pretty good.
Good. Do I have a second?
Second,
Do I have discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Garfield.
No.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, so it's a 4-1 vote and it passes. Thank you very much for guiding us, Chris, as always. Next one is under new business, the application for a host community agreement for Mead Cannabis LLC. That was provided to us, a copy of it earlier today. Do we have discussion from the board? Or Chris, do you want to have anything you want to add?
Sure. What was in the board's packet tonight, just as a reminder and for everybody's benefit, was the applicant's initial application for the HCA, which includes the applicant's information, et cetera. When I had first sent the template for the HCA to the applicant, I'm sorry, I didn't think there were any changes, but the applicant was good enough to send back a changed version today, which I did forward to the 5 members. It didn't make, I think, any substantial changes to the terms, but it did fill in, of course, the applicant's name and made some corrections and clarifications about the proposed facility, how the water usage would be controlled, and I think the electricity and some other items. But the basic terms, I believe, are as the select board laid out in their standard agreement. I'm sure the applicant is online in case you have any questions tonight.
Do you see the applicant? Does anyone have any questions? Then do I have a motion?
I make, is it written, or I make a motion to approve the host community agreement between the town of Great Barrington and Mead Cannabis LLC for marijuana cultivation and transporter establishment.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Garfield.
Oh, excuse me, no.
I'm sorry?
No.
Thank you. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Yes.
Lee?
Aye.
And it's 4-1, so it passes. Chris, can you just make sure that gets put on our website since it wasn't in the packet originally?
I think Mark already
No
did
problem.
Did it? Okay, if it didn't,
for the earlier one.
yeah, thank you. Okay. Next is to appoint Robert Sloneker to the Affordable Housing Trust. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Robert Slauneker to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed? That was an aye. He's muted, but
Sorry. Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Next, to appoint Gary Frankel to the Tree Committee. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Gary Frankel to the Tree Committee.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. And the next one is to appoint Sherry Steiner to the Cultural Council.
I make a motion to appoint Sherry Steiner to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Just want to thank those 3 people for volunteering. It's not always easy to find people, and we surely appreciate it. Next one is to vote to establish a monetary fund for the future Housatonic Rest of River Committee work. Chris or Mark, whoever's leading that one.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Mark, you want to go ahead?
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, sure. Well, Mark and I did provide an executive summary in your packet tonight for this item. We're seeking the select board's vote to establish a monetary fund for future Housatonic Rest of River Committee work. To date, the committee's work, legal, environmental review has been paid for using funds that are appropriated annually by each of the 5 Rest of River towns. And we group our money and pay the attorneys and consultants as determined by the committee. And Berkshire Regional Planning Commission is the fiscal agent that helps us do that. The settlement agreement between the EPA, GE, and other parties, including the rest of river towns, included, as you may know, the establishment of a $55 million fund, or I should say payment, to be made by GE. The terms of the agreement that the 5 towns have allows a portion of that settlement, number one, to pay off previously spent legal fees that the towns have outlaid. So each town is made whole first. Then this committee and the select board can set aside a bit of that $55 million for future ongoing work. And then the towns would see the distribution of the balance of those funds as agreed to in the settlement agreement. So this vote tonight would seek to establish that fund. So it would take money from GE, put it in the fund. So as the cleanup progresses, the towns have a dedicated source of money to pay for whatever technical assistance and legal assistance we may need, rather than going back to town meeting every year. We'll use GE's money to do it. That's the essence of what we're seeking to do tonight. The Rest of River Committee has already approved this. It also needs the approval of each of the select boards. Several have already met and approved it, and we're asking you to vote as written here in the executive summary tonight.
Do I have a motion?
I have a question. Should I wait for the motion?
No, you can ask it. That's fine.
So we're establishing a fund for our town of 1.5 million, as opposed to we're all establishing a fund of 55 million.
You're establishing a fund for the Rest of River Committee. So that's a committee of 5 towns. 1.5 million is an estimated amount for the 10, 15 to 20 years of work. And we think that that is enough to cover all of the work that may be needed over that time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Lee, do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the establishment of a monetary fund for future Housatonic Rest of River Committee work.
Second.
Discussion, other questions? Yes.
Could you go
Chris.
ahead and read the motion in full as written in the executive summary? I'm sorry, but council.
No problem. I
is-
was hoping you wouldn't notice, but I guess. I make a recommendation, the select board votes as follows. Pursuant to the intergovernmental agreement, the select board and the Rest of River Municipal Committee, ROR Committee, authorize the establishment of an administrative ROR monetary fund of $1.5 million to be funded following receipt of the funds in the escrow account established pursuant to a February 2020 escrow agreement to pay for all legal, consulting, and other expenses, fees, or costs incurred by the ROR Committee in the administration, review, and legal work related to any revised permit issued by EPA for the remedial work in the Housatonic River, and that Berkshire Regional Planning Committee, BRPC, be authorized as a fiscal agent for said ROR monetary fund. The Rest of River Municipal Committee or its successor is authorized to administer the monetary fund.
I have a second. Okay, I have a motion by Lee, a second by Ed. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Garfield. Eric. Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next is the Housatonic Waterworks bottled water. Who's leading that one?
So I can get us started. At the last meeting, I was asked to include this topic on tonight's agenda. And I just wanted to mention that we don't have any specific funds budgeted in fiscal 22 or in fiscal 23 for this. And I'm not certain that it would qualify for ARPA funding, although I wanted to just hear from the board what your ideas are, what your thoughts are, and then I can take those ideas and thoughts back to staff, and we can come back to you at a follow-up meeting with a recommendation. So I'll stop there.
Eric?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking along the lines that maybe we can get the town staff to write a letter to Housatonic Waterworks and ask for their reimbursement for the citizens, their customer base that has to purchase water to drink during this HAA5 crisis we're having here in Housatonic. And whether it's they supply bottled water or reimburse, I think would be appropriate.
I think that's a great idea.
I would also like to add filters as well, because I know a lot of people, that's a big expense. And I think if we put that too, that would be very helpful.
A reasonable request.
We can get a draft letter together for the board to review at the next meeting.
Erica Milkey, do you have something you want to add?
I do. Previously, I was just an onlooker, but now I live here in Housatonic. And I really appreciate Eric's suggestion. I'm spending a lot of money on ordering water. And the other day I was on a walk with a friend of mine who's lived in Hoosie for much longer, and some Airbnb folks were asking about the water situation. And this friend of mine and I had very different takes on it, depending on how deep of a dive we did into the exact chemicals that were found. It was a little bit alarming to me that she and I didn't have the same take on what the dangers were. You know, like the chemical component that was a cancer-causing agent, that isn't, the research I did said it couldn't be boiled away, and it couldn't be that like a Brita wouldn't work on it. But she's not operating under that assumption. So it's really interesting to me that we're all dealing with it from a very different knowledge base. So I would appreciate it at these meetings to keep this to the forefront. Eric, you're doing, and Mark, you're doing a great job. I appreciate that this keeps coming up and we're getting updates. It's a big expense for people, but it's also, everybody's coming at it from a different angle. Like, does a Brita filter or one of the refrigerator filters take care of the issue? I don't think it does for the cancer causing agent.
So Erica, we'll get back to you with more information at our next meeting, but you brought up a good point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Elizabeth Rockefeller.
You there, Steve?
We are.
Thank you. What, as far as what Mark said about there are no funds, shouldn't this be considered an emergency for Housatonic residents? I mean, there's emergency funds for other things that happen to and around Great Barrington and Housatonic. And also, it's not just the cost of the bottled water, but it's the cost to drive out of town to do laundry, get water if we have to, which brings me to the fact that shouldn't you repeal the bottled water purchase in stores? I know we can buy it by gallons, but you know, maybe buy it, you know, in the smaller bottles. Can't we have that repealed? But I think we should have emergency funds for something like this in the town.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah. When we voted quite a while ago on the water bottle ban, I had brought up that be repealed. Well, Housatonic is going through what they're going, and it's only got worse. So I don't disagree with her on that one. Mark, for our next meeting, can you come back with, you know, I think we've given you the authorization to send a letter to Housatonic Water, but let's come back with, you know, answers to a few of these questions. And, you know, could we go to the finance committee under an emergency authorization if Housatonic Water says no?
We do have some funding remaining in the reserve fund for fiscal '22, and we will have more as of July 1st. What I meant when I said earlier we have no funding, we have no funding specifically identified in the budget for this. That's all.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Lee?
May I say, oh,
You'll go next, Garfield. Lee?
In addition to sending the letter, can we require that we get an answer from Housatonic Waterworks so that we can have it in writing that they're, if they refuse to reimburse residents, at least we have it in writing that they're unwilling to meet us halfway, because I think that's important for us to see that in writing, as opposed to just sending a letter and having it die a death, as many things have with this issue.
Thanks, Lee. Garfield?
yeah, I was wondering if we could use maybe some of the ARPA money or maybe some of that 55 million from GE.
We can't use the GE money, and the ARPA money doesn't fit under those requirements for bottled water or filters. Correct, Mark?
That's right. If it was a water infrastructure project, yes, ARPA funding would be appropriate.
Well, let me just ask to say this. It is obviously a major, major problem. And I'm not going to say that I know how to write all the bylaws and all the laws, but this sounds like something that really needs attention. If there's some way we can write it in, I think we should, because it just sounds like, well, we don't have any money, but there's money. Maybe we need to find a way to access it. And I could be way off, but I just think this really needs to be paid attention to. And Eric is right, and it does need to be, we need to step it up a little bit, I think.
Thank you, Garfield. Trevor Forbes, name and address, go right ahead.
Hi, this is Denise Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. I'm using Trevor's computer. Sorry about that.
No reason to be sorry.
I'm just calling up, just coming in because we're doing a letter to all the people of Housatonic and West Stockbridge, who are Housatonic water users. And we're trying to find out who in the area has cancer and if they could divulge that information for us anonymously. And we're trying to do scientific data to plot a graph of where the cancer is and try to come up with some more information on that. But that's just one thing. My idea is, can we ask the town to say to Housatonic Water, people are going to stop paying their bill and paying for water they can't use. Can we get permission to do that? Is that possible?
Permission from who, Denise? I'm sorry.
From the town of Great Barrington, from you guys. Can you say, Housatonic Water, the townspeople don't want to pay their water bill unless you can do something to give them clean water or a filtration system. They should provide us with a filtration system, something that can help us drink the water that comes into our house that we are paying them for. And then they tell us to flush our system out, and then we pay more money. So it's just one of those things where it's just infuriating that we have to pay them for water we can't drink. But anyway, any ideas you have on that would be greatly appreciated. But in the meantime, we're working on that. And the petition, we've got a lot more names. So that's another matter, but we'll talk about that later.
Thank you, Denise. And we will get back to you on the other.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sharon Gregory.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay. I was wondering whether or not for the infrastructure money, if we could set aside, reserve some amount of money that could be put towards the Housatonic water infrastructure improvements, should we be able to purchase it or provide some way to mitigate the issues now? But for infrastructure money, like the filtration system.
Right. The select board will be meeting in executive session to discuss these things this week. And I think one of the things to realize is that if we own Housatonic Waterworks, if we eventually do, we would go to the state for infrastructure money and hope that they, and not only hope, but I think that they would provide some to us. So let us talk about it, Sharon, as part of our strategy.
Great, but maybe, if we had a reserve, if they don't have 100% funding, then at least we have something set aside. It seems like all the projects we're thinking about, are important, but this is essential. So
Agreed.
that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Much appreciated. Okay, board members, anything else? Let's move on to the next one. I want to change. The next one is just simply a proposal for commemorating Elizabeth Freeman 1781 lawsuit for freedom. This is not a proposal by the Clinton Church Restoration. Mark, do you want to start this off?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm going to go ahead and promote John Haran. This is a proposal that he brought forward several months ago, so he'll be speaking to this tonight.
Great, thank you.
John, you just have to.
Yeah.
Just say your name and address for the record, John.
Yeah, it's John Horan, and I'm at 2 Brainerd Avenue.
Thank you.
And yeah, just to clarify that, Steve, thanks for bringing that. So yeah, the written proposal, I submitted several iterations, I think, to you, Mark, as I went along, and the Clinton Church Restoration was very helpful in thinking through the part of it. And I did, as we went along, I pulled in other groups too, and never had, the board never formally approved kind of what we were doing. So even though they've been involved, I can't take that part off, remove it from the title. So that's just a misunderstanding on my part. But I did want to, so I think before I start, I can't really see who's on here, but I invited Dennis Powell, who is the president of the NAACP and also part of Clinton Church, Dr. Francis Jones-Sneed, who's part of the NAACP and Clinton Church Restoration, and then Beth Carlson, who's part of Clinton Church Restoration, to join me. So I can't tell if they're on or not. That's a,
yeah, Dennis is on and Beth is on. I see both. We've promoted both of those, Mark has.
So you said Beth and Dennis is on,
yeah,
but not Francis. Okay. Okay. So, and then in order, I was going to do a brief PowerPoint presentation to share that. How do I, is that possible or?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and promote you as I'm going to remove you and put you back in the participant pool, John, and then promote you as a panelist. So just bear with me here for a second.
Okay. This says host disabled participant screen sharing. Do you have to?
Yeah, I just enabled that, so you're good to go now.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so this is something I've had a lot of input from various people, including those who are on, and as well as other groups. And I'll name the other groups when I get to the end of the presentation. But just quick background. So in August 1781, Elizabeth Freeman became the first African-American woman to successfully file a lawsuit for freedom in the state of Massachusetts. And her, as I think most people will know, her case was argued at the Berkshire Court of Common Pleas in Great Barrington, which is situated at the intersection of, Main Street and Castle Street near where present day Great Barrington's town hall is. And this case was very, very important, pivotal, and marked the beginning of a group of freedom suits that led the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court to outlaw slavery in Massachusetts. So again, this point, the proposal is relatively informal because it will take we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but wanted to bring it forth to the select board. So 2 objectives that would be kind of nested in a larger project to commemorate and celebrate this historic event, and as I said, in a variety of ways. And 2 of the things that we'd like to do would require the town of Great Barrington support. The first would be to co-name the segment of Castle Street between the train tracks and Main Street, Elizabeth Freeman Place. And the second would be to place an interpretive display on Town Hall campus. Again, we haven't started work on that, and the final approval for this would be a contingent on review of detailed plans. So just a little bit more detail. What we had in mind for the street name was be co-naming, and this is 125th Street in Harlem with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
John, we're not seeing anything on your screen.
Oh, you're not?
No.
You're not? Okay, sorry. Sorry. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm sorry. So the first couple slides are all text, but this is an example of what we had in mind. So this is 125th Street in Harlem with that's co-named for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So we were thinking that the same thing could be done for that segment of Castle Street for Elizabeth Freeman. And then this is a photo of the interpretive display that was placed at Clinton Church last spring. And so we had in mind something very similar to that, obviously different content and things like that, but be a rotating kiosk similar to the one that was placed there in the spring. Each panel would include interpretive art as well as text, and kind of these are preliminary ideas. The artwork, our hope is that would be done by African American artists from Berkshire County, and if not from Berkshire County, elsewhere in the state. I have spoken to David Glassberg, professor of history at UMass, who is part of Clinton Church. He's on the board of Clinton Church Restoration, and he is willing to. He's done this before with I think Ashley House and other local projects. Make this part of his graduate seminar in Museum and Historic Site Interpretation. The next time that will be held is the fall of 2022. And they would work on the content, and then Dr. Francis Jones Sneed, who is an emeritus professor of history at MCLA, who I don't think is on the call, would also would play an advisory role on this. And then again, as I mentioned, this is a project that would include several bodies, again, not formally endorsed yet by that Clinton Church Restoration, but we've spoken to Randy. He's been involved in the Great Barrington Legacy Committee, the Berkshire County NAACP, including multiple people. I have spoken to Gwendolyn Hampton Van Sant from Multicultural Bridge, and she is supportive. And then we'll be meeting with the Youth Operation Board at Railroad Street Youth Project on, I think it's May 10th, to kind of hopefully get them involved as well. So I'll stop sharing.
So my question, I don't think you were planning on us to vote on this. You would just, this is more of an update, correct, tonight, John?
I just wanted to make sure, we did want to, I think, before going forward, I don't know about the street naming. That's something that,
let's be clear on one thing so that people don't get the wrong impression. Unlike the other street naming change, this is just simply to add Elizabeth Freeman Way, I think it was, onto it. It would not be changing the address or anything else. It would be similar to the Martin Luther King Boulevard. So it, which, so much different than what we were talking about before with Squaw Peak. Board, I think what we could do is to give our preliminary endorsement of the plan. Not our final endorsement, but I think that's what John's
we
really
don't.
looking for.
Really for the, that we want to make sure that, that you're, at least you're okay in principle with placing exhibits on town hall property. And then over the course of the upcoming year, we'd work to kind of refine the proposal, and we would come back to you with something well-developed and endorsed by all the groups. And,
let me give Dennis and Beth a chance to speak if they want, or they don't have to, but I don't want to ignore them.
I don't have anything to add at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And I'm not hearing Dennis. So I would think it would be appropriate to make an initial endorsement of the plan pending the group coming back to us for final approval. Because I think it's important that they know that up to this point, the board doesn't object to it. Yes, Lee.
I'm absolutely 100% in favor of this. So thank you very much, John, and everyone else that's taken on this important initiative. My question is about the redesign of the campus of Town Hall, just to be mindful that that might be coming our way. So just to, factor in that, that item.
Yeah, they'll work with, it's a good point. They'll have to work with the new DPW superintendent to make sure that it's done appropriately. So do I have a motion?
I make a motion to have preliminary approval of this design of Elizabeth Freeman Way and the interactive display on the campus of Town Hall.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, John.
Great, thank you very
Dennis.
much.
Thank you, Beth.
We'll come back to you next year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is to vote to locate the annual town meeting inside Monument Mountain High School or outside in the school parking lot. In order to prepare, for the town clerk to prepare, for the town staff to prepare, we have to make a decision at this point how we want to do this. Mark, do you want to add anything to it, or do you want me just to leave this?
I guess the only thing I would add is that there are a number of things that we need to be mindful of, reserving a sound system and connecting with our partners at, I'm blanking on the name of the organization in Lee. We need to order porta potties. We need to order generator lights. We need to be sure that we have an adequate amount of cones and traffic control barriers. And we just need to do some planning here on our end if we choose to have another outside town meeting. It also impacts the order of the warrant to a certain extent so that we can space out votes that we know we'll have to hand count and give the town clerk's office adequate time in between those votes. It takes a little longer outdoors. So that's all I wanted to say. There's no recommendation from staff. We're happy to move in either direction. We just need a little guidance.
So go ahead, Lee. I was going to start, but you can go ahead.
I had a question. I can wait till you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. If it were to be inside, is there a way, if there was a spillover crowd, to have it throughout the high school, if not just the auditorium, if we spill it out into the library or the gym, for instance, or through some kind of closed circuit monitor situation?
I'd have to reach out to the school to see if that's a possibility. I know we've done it in the past. We've had spillover in the cafeteria.
Cafeteria.
Well, both, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just, it's been several years since we've done that, so I'd have to check in with the school district.
And if that was permissible or logistically possible, is that a lot of extra work for the town in terms of counting votes? And is it less prohibitive than being outside if we were worried about a spillover and we needed to accommodate that?
So the question is it more work to spread out over 3 indoor spaces versus outdoor?
Yeah.
Perhaps without talking to the
Yeah.
school, I'm not sure. We would have to rely on their technology to help us. We wouldn't be able to do what we do outside, inside, as far as the FM radio option goes.
So my concern is this. I realize a lot of people, not everyone, would like to see us go back indoors. And probably about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would wholeheartedly agree. At this point, COVID cases are rising once again. We don't know what's going to happen in the next month, which is about the time we have. So I'm kind of torn on this. It's quite possible if we vote to go indoors, or is possible, that we vote to go indoors and COVID cases continue to rise, that we would have to postpone the town meeting to a future date because having it indoors would not be safe. So that's a choice we have to understand if we say we want to have it indoors. If we vote to have it outdoors tonight, we know we can have it. It's not as ideal for some people. Some people prefer it, but I am concerned that the rising cases are going to cause a problem for us in the next few weeks.
I would like to echo the same thing because that would be my concern. As the cases are indeed rising, I'm actually seeing people donning their masks more, and to err on the side of caution, I think outside would be best suited us. I think it would behoove us to be outside.
Thank you, Garfield. Ed?
Yeah, full disclosure, I have it in my house at this point, not me, but it is increasing. So I'd be inclined to do it where we know we can go forward. So that was my saying yes for outdoors, in case that wasn't clear.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm for, I would feel better about having it outdoors as well, so.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve to vote to approve to locate the annual town meeting outside in the parking lot of Monument Mountain High School.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Okay, so the next one is to add a select board meeting in early May. And the reason for this is we're running out of time on the short-term rentals, and we still have some legal issues that we think will be resolved by next week. And we just want a placeholder for a meeting next week because we are setting the warrant on May 11th. So we're starting to run short on time. So my suggestion would either be next Tuesday, May 3rd, or next Wednesday, May 4th, that we just have a placeholder. And I guess I prefer the 4th. It gives us one extra day. You're muted, Ed.
I can do the 3rd, but not the 4th.
Okay. Can everyone else do the 3rd?
Third, I'm sorry, what day is it again? Was that the
That's a
Tuesday? you said?
Tuesday. Tuesday, May 3rd.
Might be a little dicey for me. I'm not quite sure what the relay's doing, but we meet on Tuesdays a lot. As a matter of fact, we have one tomorrow, so that might be an event for us. Well, if we're having, if we're having one tomorrow, I don't think we'll have one quickly as May 4th, so I think I can do Tuesday.
Perfect. Eric, are you okay with that?
You said May, the 3rd of May?
Yes.
3rd. I could do that, yeah.
And Lee?
Yes.
Okay, so very tentatively, we'll have a meeting scheduled for May 3rd, Tuesday on short-term rentals. And I won't go into the details of it because we've had it enough, but we'll have that in pencil on our calendar. Mark, you're okay with that? Never asked you. You need to be there.
That's fine. I'll be there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is citizen speak time. Again, because of the legal cloud that we're still trying to deal with, we will not take any discussion on short-term rentals. We will hold that till May 3rd. So please raise your hand if you have any, if you'd like to speak.
While we're waiting, can we just confirm with Chris that that works for him as well, since he's leading that conversation?
Excellent idea. I'm sorry, Chris.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, that date works. Tuesday?
Yes, I apologize, Chris, for leaving you off of that.
No, I would have shouted if it didn't work. Thanks.
Thank you. I see no citizens' hands, so we will move ahead to select board time. Garfield?
I actually don't have any but questions. Seeing how my Mac has done me wrong, can I come to the town hall on Wednesday meeting this Wednesday?
Yeah, we can find a room for you to be in if in a computer.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Eric?
All set. Thank you.
Ed? Lee?
One thing I wanted to thank everyone that took part in this spring annual cleanup in Housatonic and Great Barrington on Saturday and Sunday. It was a wonderful success, and there was some volunteers and a lot of community participation. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Housatonic the Beautiful. Yeah, and we'll do it next year. We'll continue on. So thanks. And thanks to the DPW for providing the bags and collecting them.
Hey, Stephen, can I go back for a second?
Of course.
Okay. Now, I saw and maybe misinformed, but were we speaking of the town warrant tonight? What was the town warrant?
No, that's May 11th. We'll do
May
that.
11th. Okay.
Yeah. I think, Garfield, this may have been the date for the, well, no, it may have been at one point the date, but it's been moved to May 11th.
Okay.
It's been fluid. Any media time? By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.